Okay, guys, I'm not gonna keep you waiting anymore. Let's get straight into this. Let me move this one up here. Okay, so swing structure. We'll start with swing structure, then we'll go to internal structure, and then finally we'll go to fractal structure. Dardan says, I have been trading for at least 1 year and already know these, but I want to refresh and maybe get some new tips already. Amazing. Liquidity sweeps have been a very difficult thing for me. Yeah, liquidity sweeps and liquidity in general is going to be something that we will be covering maybe in the next live stream. I believe it is the next no, the next live stream is going to be supply and demand. And the one after that I believe is liquidity. Where's the recording going to be? So essentially I'm already recording the live stream now. And once we have finished everything and I have edited and made sure that everything is smooth for you guys, I'm going to be posting the link to the live stream so you guys can go ahead and do some more studying on it whenever you need to. I'll post that link in the Discord so you guys will have full access to the live stream after it is finished. No problem, Gus. Cool. So swing structure. So, yes, swing structure is essentially these big swings in the market. And just to let you guys know, we're going to be going through this drawing first, theory of this first, and then we will be going into the live markets and, seeing exactly like what it looks like in the live markets, because I do appreciate that not everyone is going to be able to look at this and understand completely. Okay. Awesome. Thanks. Will be difficult work-wise to attend always. Yeah, no, I understand. I understand. That's why we are always going to be recording every single live stream we do. It's going to be recorded. So the people who cannot make it due to work or family problems or whatever it may be, you will always have access to it after it is finished. It's always going to be there for you guys. Also thanks. Will be difficult to yes, really excited to learn. Amazing. All right, yes, so as I was saying, swing structure, it's this big movements. So when I view swing structure, this is obviously one big movement up. This pullback swing structure is one big movement down, okay? And although we have movements here, so this is internal structure, and this small minuscule movement, this is fractal structure, okay? But I view from this low to this high, this is one push up, okay? I almost ignore these movements in between when it comes to looking at swing structure, because we need to be looking at the highest points and the lowest points, okay? So let me just mark on these and I'm going to ask you guys some questions, because there are some people here that I recognize the names of who were here last time, which is amazing. Okay, so as you guys can see already, I've marked them out. So this is a strong low, okay, and we've pushed up and we've made a weak high, and this weak high is weak. Why? Why is it weak? Does anybody know? Let's give a chance for the newer people to answer this, because I know some of you already know from the last live stream. So if this is a weak high, why is it weak? Do you know? This high here with the gray dot. Why is this weak? Failed to take the low. Amazing. Okay, Marius and Kim, you've given answers that are actually valid, but it's not quite the answer I'm looking for. But don't worry, we're gonna learn. This is what we're here for. So this is a weak high because it has pulled back but failed to break this low. Okay, so we've pulled back but failed to break this low. And one thing to really understand why we call it a weak high. What is a high's job? Does anybody know? What is the job of a high? Okay, so the job of a high, Maria says not sure. Okay. So the job of a high is to make a new low. And the job of a low, vice versa. So the job of a high is to make a new low, and the job of a low is to make a new high. That's why when we're looking at an uptrend, obviously this is an uptrend in this scenario here. The lows are weak. Why are they weak? Because they break structure, you know? And the highs are weak. Did I say that correctly? Did I say the lows are weak? The lows are strong. Apologies. The lows are strong because they break structure, okay? Hence the name break of structure. And the highs are weak. Why are they weak? Because they fail to break the lows, okay? Is everyone okay with that so far? Yep, amazing. Cool. So just one more time, we'll go over that quickly. The job of a high is to make a new low. That's why in an uptrend, so we've got this low here. Obviously, it's strong. And then this low here, this high here is weak, okay? Because this high has pulled back. I appreciate we've got all these ups and downs. This is all internal structure. For now, this is just noise. We're just talking about swing structure just for now. So this high here is weak. Why? Because we look at all this movement as one leg, okay? And this high has failed to go low enough to break this low, okay? So this high has pulled back and failed to break this low. That's why it is weak. But then on the other hand, we have this low here, and this low is strong. Why is it strong? Because we look at all of this movement as one leg up to the upside. I appreciate it's a bit confusing because we have ups and downs or whatever, but we'll get into why that is in a moment. But why is this low weak? Because it's the lowest point that has caused this break of structure, okay? Lows are strong, highs are weak because fails to break low. Exactly, Dardan. Yes, the lows are strong because they break highs, and the highs are weak because they fail to break the lows. But this is strictly in a bullish sense. We are only talking about when price is bullish. If we're talking about when price is bearish, it flips. The highs are strong, okay? Because the highs are always breaking the lows, and the lows are weak because they fail to break the high until we get a change of character, and then price flips and goes to the upside again. But obviously that was in the last live stream. If you haven't seen that one, I really do recommend that you go into the Discord and click the link to watch the previous live stream that we spoke about all of this. Obviously you'll understand it a lot more, if you pair it together with these videos. So yes, that's obviously talking about the bullish sense. So the lows are strong and the highs are weak. Okay. So we've talking about swing structure now. So of course we've got this push up, and then we've got this pull back down, which failed to break this low. Therefore, this high is weak. But then after we get this pull back into the discounted areas, we have now pushed back up and broke this weak high. Therefore, this is strong because we broke structure. Okay. So swing structure, you can, if any of you are writing this down, you can write notes. Swing structure is essentially the big movements in price. Okay. It's the big movements in price. Dardan said, yes, understood. Please tell us what time frame we should focus on to identify those higher highs or higher lows. 1 hour, the 4 hour. Me personally, I do it on the 4 hour. Whenever I'm assessing or analyzing, whatever word you want to use, I'm always looking for swing structure first, and that is always on the 4 hour for me. This is what I prefer to do. I'm always preferring to analyze my swing structure on the 4 hour. Thanks a lot. No problem. No problem. Okay, so that's out the way now. So swing structure does everybody understand that so far? Can we move on to internal? Mara says yes. Yes. Okay, everyone else, it's okay? Yes, please. All right, cool. So we'll move on now. So internal structure. Okay, so internal structure is essentially these medium movements in price. Okay, you've got these inside movements. So of course you've got the swing structure. So obviously you're looking at it from this leg here, swing, this leg here, swing, this leg here is swing. That's all swing structure. But everything inside, hence the name internal structure, that is everything inside of these big swings. Okay. So you've got these medium movements in price. These are all internal structure. How does swing high look on a real chart? Okay, just to show. Just to answer that question. So we've got this low here. Why is it strong? It's strong because this is the lowest point that has pushed up and broken this previous high, which was strong, obviously, because we was coming from a downtrend, and now we've caused the break of break of structure from this high, break of structure. This would continue to be weak if we had pulled up to here and pulled back down and caused another break of structure here, but we didn't. We came down here, wicked back up and retraced. Okay, so this would have remained weak, but it didn't. Because why? Because it's the lowest point which caused this movement to cause a change of character. Okay, and I appreciate this probably isn't the best example. Let's go to USD CAD. This is a much more cleaner pair. Okay, so we've got, let's change the color of this one. Okay, so we've got this strong low. Okay, why is it strong? Because we have come up and broken this high. Okay, weak high. Why is it weak? Because we have pulled back and failed to break this low. Okay, so now this is one movement here. Swing up, swing low. Okay, and then we've swung up. So of course here we only wicked above. Okay, and if any of you guys are taking notes, please take notes of this because it is very important. With swing structure, we're looking for candle body closes. Okay, we're not looking for a wick above to class that as a break. We are looking for candle body closes, a full candle body close. Okay, so of course how price has wicked above this, but then came back down and failed to close above. A body has failed to close above. I do not view this as a continuation in trend. This is not a break of structure for me. Okay, however, this is. Why? Because we have closed above. Okay. So you can write that down. So for the swing structure, we're looking for candle body closes. That equals a true break. And for internal structure, again, we're looking for candle body closures. That equals a true break. But for fractal structure, this is where it changes. And I appreciate it's going to be very hard to get your head around. For me, it really was. It took me months to learn fractal structure. So I'm not expecting all of you to understand fractal structure just off of this live stream. But if you keep watching the live stream and studying fractal structure alone, you will start to understand. Anyway, I digress. Fractal structure, to class fractal structure as a true break, we only need the wick. Okay, so we'll go over that again. Swing structure, we need a candle body close. That is now a true break. Okay, whether to the upside or to the downside. Internal structure, we need a candle body close. That equals a true break, whether to the upside or the downside. Fractal structure, we need a wick. Okay, we're getting some chat. Question: what if there is a close of candle in another time frame? Yes, this is why we're looking for to map it out. Swing structure, this is why we only look at one time frame. You need to pick a time frame which is conforming to your strategy best. Okay, so for me, I have found the 4-hour swing structure. So would fractal structure be considered your lower time frame you plan on entering on? So fractal structure is essentially on all time frames. Okay, fractal structure is something very advanced, which we will have to go through in depth. We will do that today though, so don't worry about that. But fractal structure essentially is an all time frame, and fractal structure is literally every single candle you see. And fractal structure can be measured on every single time frame. Okay, it can be measured on the 1 week, the 1 month, the 1 year, the 4 hour, the 3 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour, literally every single time frame, fractal structure can be measured. Does that answer your question? Kim says understood, but as far as wick being considered a break of structure, yes. But again, currently we're talking about swing structure. But if you really want to go into that now, we can just quickly go through it. Just spend a minute or two on it, just so it maybe answers your question. So we've got so let's obviously start from this candle here. So fractal structure, we're looking at if obviously in an uptrend scenario, we're looking at does the next candle break the top of this candle? Okay. So yes, it breaks this candle here. Cool, that's a continuation. But here it doesn't. So this would be classed as a fractal high. Okay. And then obviously this would be classed as a fractal low. But then of course we don't get that fractal change of character. And I appreciate this is something not all of you will understand. But yeah, so this doesn't class as a fractal change of character because it doesn't break below and we continue to the upside, okay? Does this candle break the high of this candle? Yes, it does. Okay, so it's a continuation. Does this candle break this candle? Yes. Does this candle break this candle? Yes. So this is all continuations up until here. And then of course we've got another continuation here. And one thing that you guys can write down as well is with fractal structure, the color of the candle does not matter. Do you look only at the body or the wick also? So with fractal structure, we're looking at whatever is highest. Okay. It's literally whatever is highest. It doesn't matter if the wick, if it has come up higher and then wicked back down, it doesn't matter. As long as it's traded higher than the previous candle, that is a continuation in fractal structure. Have I answered your question? If you don't mind, can we see the full screen chart? We are unable to get it properly. Yeah, we're gonna go once we go back into swing structure entirely, we will. It's just for fractal structure, we really need to be zoomed in on price, just because fractal structure is literally every single candle. Kegi says indeed. Okay, cool. So just one more time with fractal structure, we've got this high, we've got this candle, and then we've got the high of the candle here. Now we're looking if the next candle breaks that high. Yes, it does. Okay, so now this is the high of the next candle. Does the next candle break this high? No. So this is classed as a fractal high. We would draw a line out and mark it as a fractal high. Okay. Now, once we've pulled back enough, this is our fractal low. Does now price break this low? No, it doesn't. So this is not classed as a fractal change of character, but we do get a break of our fractal high. So now this is obviously just a fractal pause in price, and then we get that continuation. Okay. Now, does this candle break this candle's high? Yes. It doesn't matter how far it's come down. Doesn't matter. We are literally looking at a simple thing. Does the next candle break the previous candle's high? So yes, it does. Cool. That's a continuation. Does this candle break this candle's high? Yes, that's a continuation. Does this candle break this candle's high? Yes, continuation. Continuation, continuation, continuation. And then it isn't until here that we get that fractal pullback. Okay, so this would be classed as our fractal high. Now this would be classed as our fractal low. And we try to come back up to break this fractal high, but we don't. Then we get a fractal change of character, and that's when price moves to the downside. Okay. And something we will be getting into later on is when we get a fractal change of character, all that signals is we are getting an internal pullback. That's all that signals. We are now getting an internal pullback. It doesn't signal that the swing pullback is now happening. Okay. Does everyone understand that so far for fractal structure? I wasn't really planning to get in. I wasn't really planning to get into fractal structure this fast, but since you are asking, I will answer your questions. Yes, definitely going to rewatch this. Yeah, you're gonna have to. Niels, I'm going to be very honest with you. Even me, when I was learning fractal structure, it took me months. It really, really did. Every time I thought I understood, something new came up and I had to scratch everything and redo it. So yeah, fractal structure is really a headache. But one thing to give you motivation, when you understand, Maria says, watch, watch, watch again, and then practice. Perfect. That is literally all you have to do. But again, what I will say to give you motivation to push through this headache called fractal structure is when you have a full understanding of swing structure, internal structure, and fractal structure, and when you're able to pair them all together, okay, to like actually on the live markets, when you're able to pair them all together, you are going to have such a deep understanding of how the market moves and trade setups that you never would have taken before or never would have even understood before will start to pop up left, right, and center. And you're going to have, again, such a deep understanding of the market. So please, I understand fractal structure. When we go through it, I guarantee you 70% of you are not going to understand by the time we finish this live stream. But please, as Maria says, watch, watch, watch again, and then practice it. You have to really, really practice it. You can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You really have to be wholehearted in your back testing regarding to fractal structure to really understand it. And again, that motivation is really key. Once you understand swing, internal, and fractal structure, you're going to have such a deep understanding of why price is moving this way and that way, and have a good understanding of where to expect price to go next. Okay. Okay. So we've got our swing pull up, then we've got our swing movement down. Okay. Now we've swung back up, broken this high, therefore we've got a break of structure. Okay. Now, this whole movement here, obviously, as I said before, and I'll have to keep saying it again, because it can be quite confusing. This is one swing to the upside. Okay. Now we've got this internal pullback. Why is it internal pullback? Because it is a movement in price that we can recognize. It's a quote unquote medium movement in price, but it's not big enough to be able to say, okay, like this is like if, for example, if it moved down here, that would be for me a swing movement just because of the fact that it is significant enough of a pullback to be able to say, okay, yeah, that's a swing movement. But again, it's not. Okay, this is just that medium movement in price, maybe I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 candles, whatever, pulling back. That's just internal structure. Now, once we've pulled back up, broken that internal high, this is now an IBOS or an internal breakup structure, okay? Because we've broken that internal high, continuing the trend upwards, okay? Now, we have a fractal pullback. And the easiest way to look at a fractal pullback is it's literally 1, 2, or 3 candles, very small candles pulling back, and it's literally just that small pause in price before moving up. And I appreciate that doesn't sound very mechanical, but we will be going into this more in depth in the later live streams today, just so you guys can really understand that fully. Okay, so don't worry about that. So we have that fractal pullback, and then we're continuing up. And once we break that low, as I showed the example up here in gold, once we break that low of the fractal structure, we have now what's called a fractal change of character. Okay. And just to see if you guys have been listening, what does a fractal change of character signal? Does it signal the start of the swing pullback, or does it signal an internal pullback? Let's see if you guys have been listening. Okay, Dardan says it signals the pullback of a swing. Neil says internal. Kim says internal. Mr. Eagle says internal. Kagi says internal. Correct. Correct. It signalizes an internal pullback. Okay. The change of character regarding fractal structure does not signal this whole movement. Okay, that is not true confirmation that we are now getting that big swing to the downside into the discounted areas. Okay, what does signal that we are getting that swing pullback. Okay, so we'll go back a few more steps. So we've pulled back. That's an internal pullback. We've got that internal break of structure. Okay. Now, this is again very, very small pullback. This is the small movement in price that doesn't seem so big. This is like those 1, 2, or 3 candles that pull back. That's a fractal pullback. Okay. After we have now carried on from that fractal pullback, we have broken the fractal high, showing that we're getting a continuation to the upside. But that fractal low still stays in place because we now need to measure those fractal lows to see when exactly are we getting that, that fractal change of character. And it's at this point when price trades lower that we do get that fractal change of character. Okay. Now price has pulled back again, an internal movement to the upside. And now we get that internal break of structure. Once we have these two paired together, once we have this fractal change of character plus a internal break of structure, this is what signals this whole swing pullback. That's the confirmation that we can look to start trading these internal pullbacks to get in short, but obviously not too much, because the second we start getting closer to the discounted areas, the probability of those sales actually hitting take profit gets less and less and less. Because why? We are now looking to start buying as soon as we get into the discounted areas. Darden says, so after that, we can look for entries of a sell. Exactly. After we get this internal break of structure and this, so after we get this fractal change of character and the internal break of structure, that is now our signal to get ready for this big internal swing to start looking for those sells. Okay, guys, yeah, so part 2 now. Unfortunately, I had forgotten to press record for the second live stream, part 2. Really, really sorry for that, but I will go through this by myself now, just so there are no missing components to the whole live stream, and so you guys can actually have a full understanding of everything. So yes, we left off here, understanding that after we get this fractal change of character, in addition to our internal break of structure, that's when we can, confirm that now we are getting that big swing pullback. So now that we know that we have that big swing pullback, we know that we can also start looking for these internal positions here, looking for sells, obviously, because the pullback is now bearish to the downside. And yes, so I just want to bring your attention to this part of the charts here. So after we get this push up, okay, remember this isn't necessarily a change of character that we're looking to find any importance with, because again we are looking for that internal we're looking for that internal structure, not that swing structure just yet anyway, because this doesn't signalize that we are getting that next pullback to the upside. Okay, so what does? So after we have this fractal pullback here, so this being our fractal high and this being our fractal low, we do get a break of the fractal high, confirming that the bullish movement of this leg is still continuing. But it's only at this point here that we get that fractal change of character. We now know that the pullback is happening. So now we know that the pullback is happening here, and then we get a internal break of structure. But why doesn't this signal that the pullback is happening? Simply because of the way or the position that the fractal change of character has happened. If you look here, the fractal change of character has now flipped. Okay, so here and here, the fractal change of character happened at the low. Okay, but here the fractal change of character happened at the high. And not only did the fractal change of character happen at the high, we also came up and completed a internal break of structure. What does that signal? That signals that the next swing leg to the upside is now happening. And look what happens. It does. Okay. But let's just go back a few steps, okay? So after this, we know after these 2 steps, that is now our confirmation that we are now getting our swing pullback to the downside into discounted areas of this low. And of course, we now expect after this fractal change of character, this fractal change of character here, we now expect price to what? to have that pullback, and we do have that pullback here. But what also happens, we break the internal high. So that again signals that we are getting that swing pullback to the upside, okay? But I just want to bring attention also to here. Why have I drawn out this demand zone? Simply because if you want to talk about high probability trades, this is one of the most highest probability trades you could ever take, only for the simple fact that we have not broken this low, okay? Of course, I appreciate that. Obviously, if price was here, we don't know if this low is going to break or not. But why do we have to expect that this low won't be broken? Because price has realigned itself ready for that bullish swing, okay, to create a new swing high. So we've got that fractal change of character here, obviously the fractal low being here and the fractal high being here. We broke that fractal low, showing a continuation, but then we reversed back and caused that fractal change of character. So now we know the pullback is happening. The internal pullback, that is, okay? Not the swing just yet. We need this internal break of structure to confirm that now the swing pullback is now happening, okay, to create a new swing high. So now that we have those two-step ingredients, we now know or can expect that this low is now a strong low. We know that this is strong anyway because of the fact that it had broken this internal high, okay? So we know it's strong from there anyway. But it's also with the addition of these two steps, the fractal change of character and the internal break of structure, now that's why we are expecting this low to hold. And it does in the theory of things, okay? So now that we've pulled back into that demand, this would be a very high probability trade to get long, okay? Because of the fact that price has now realigned itself to now head bullish, okay? And I appreciate, guys, that this was a much shorter explanation, but I have tried to cut it down to the bare minimum of the most important things we covered in the live stream, the part 2 of the live stream we went through, which I had forgotten to record. But yeah, we will go through this a lot more in depth in the next live stream, part 3. So there won't be anything missed out when you guys come back to look at this video, this live stream, to do your studying and all of that. Okay. So again, sorry for forgetting to record the part 2. But anyway, I digress. This is now obviously the shortened down version of everything, and we will now go into part 3. Okay. All right, guys. So essentially now we are going to be heading straight into the internal structure alongside with fractal structure, which we'll cover straight after internal. Internal is going to be very quick because you guys are going to pick it up very easily. It's not something that really needs to be taught. It's just something that you see once and you know what it is. But fractal structure, we might even have to do 2 consecutive live streams just for you guys to fully understand it. Hi, Guy, what's up, man? What's up? Okay, guys. So, yes, internal structure. So we'll just look at this one last time, and then we'll go straight into the live charts. And yes, so internal structure. Internal structure is everything inside of the swing leg, hence the name internal. Okay, so the internal structure is literally all these medium movements in price that you see inside of that whole big swing leg. Even here, you can imagine there would be the internal structure here going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down until we print that high. And once we have a significant pullback, that's when we can say, okay, that's our high. And of course, here price would be having the internal structure here too, and also here. But just for simplicity's sake, I have just drawn these as straight lines. But this is where you can really see the complexity of what it would look like in the real markets, you know, when you look at the markets live. So yes, that's essentially all internal structure is. So after the theory, now we will be going to the live charts. So maybe I can do this a bit better on USD CAD. So as we can see here, this is our current trading range because obviously this is the high, this is the strong low which broke this high. Okay, so obviously this is the low that we expect to hold and continue to the upside. And obviously this is our high, and I'm happy to call this our high because of the fact that we have pulled back a significant amount. Okay, for me to say, okay, yeah, I'm happy with this because like even if you look here, we pulled back, but it wasn't, large enough for me to say, okay, yeah, that's my high. Because if it did pull back and I was happy with this, then look, price would have broken here. So now this would have been our active low, and then price would have broken this low, and now we have had a change of character and we're looking for sells, and it just doesn't work out when you look at it in that sense. Okay, so that's why we have to look for those significant enough of a pullback to be able to say, okay, yep, this is now our high. Obviously, in a bullish scenario and in a bearish scenario, we would need obviously a significant enough of a pullback to say, okay, this is our low. Okay, everyone happy with that? Yep, amazing. Cool, cool, cool. So yeah, that's essentially internal structure. Internal structure is everything inside of those swing legs. Okay, so you've got all of this is internal structure. You've got price up, down, up, down, up, down. Here with this pullback, up, down, up, down, up, down. This is all internal structure. Okay, everything you see in between these dots here, this is all internal structure. Very, very simple stuff. I'm sure we don't need to go through that anymore, but I will just ask one more time. Are we all happy with that? Can we move on into the harder thing, which is fractal structure? And again, we might need to go through a few more, maybe one or two consecutive live streams just so you guys can really understand fractal structure. Maria says, yep, happy, ready for fractal. Everyone else, can we move on, or should I go through internal just one more time? I'm just going to assume everyone's okay with that then. Green array, one time, please. I just missed. Okay, so essentially, internal structure, we are looking, can you show in a downtrend? Can you show in a downtrend? Missed your other sessions, don't want to slow anyone down. No worries, Guy. As I said, I have recorded every one of these, and they will be uploaded into a single link that you can click once everything has been, stitched together, edited and everything. You'll be able to go through this in your own time, whenever you need to. So no problem. Perfect. Okay, so Kim has asked to see in a downtrend. Yes, let me just find one in a downtrend. Everything has actually been quite bullish. Yeah, everything's quite bullish. Um, okay, so let's just mark it out from here. Okay, so this is actually going to be you guys seeing me map out everything live. Okay, so let's say we start from here. Okay, so it might not make pure sense because we're actually sort of in an uptrend, but let's just assume we're in a downtrend from here. Okay, now just to save time, I am gonna come out of the bar replay tool just so we can go through it together here. Okay, so price hasn't pulled back a significant amount here for me to be happy with. Okay, but it has here. So then I would look at it here and mark this obviously as our strong high. Why is this a strong high? Because it's the highest point that has caused this break of structure. Okay. Now we're pulling back and then we've got our weak low right here. Why is this a weak low? Because it's the lowest point which caused this pullback here that failed to break our high. Okay, it's failed to break that high. So now this would be marked out as our strong high. Okay. So again, strong high, weak low. Why is it weak? Because we have failed to break that high. Strong high. Why is it strong? Because we have broken this low. Now we've pulled back further down, and this is our weak low. Why is it our weak low? Because it's the lowest point that has caused this pullback into our discounted zones that fail to break that high. Okay, so now we're looking for a moment in price that would break this, and of course, this is our current price action and our current trading range would be between these two lines. Okay, so we're looking for a price to either break this high for a change of character and continue upwards, or break this low for a continuation in our downtrend. Okay, so I appreciate this wasn't the best example because obviously it was quite short, but again, just so we can go through it, everything in between this dot and this dot, this is all internal structure. Okay, all of this movement, this medium movement that you can see here, this is all internal structure. Okay, and let's see if we can find something for you guys here in the last live stream that we actually went through. Okay, so here we've pulled back, this being our last internal pullback. Okay, we've pulled down, right? And obviously switching to fractal structure, you guys are going to understand this a bit more as we go into it. But we've come down. That's a continuation because we have broken this low. That's a continuation because we have broken this low. But this low has failed to break this low. So therefore it is a fractal pullback. Okay. So let's go through that here. That being our fractal low. And now we look for the previous candle that has failed to break the previous candle's low for our high. So this candle breaks that low, that breaks that low, that breaks that low, that doesn't break that low. So then this would be our high, but because this trades lower, because this trades higher, it wouldn't make sense to draw our line through this white candle. Therefore, we draw our fractal high from here, okay? And look, we get that change of character. Not only do we get that change of character, we get that internal break of structure. And what does that signal? The next swing to the upside, obviously into our discounted area. So that was actually quite a good example to show you guys right there. Okay, so does that answer your question, Kim? To show you in a downtrend, does that make sense? Obviously, again here, this being our high, everything in between here, all of this is fractal structure. All of this, internal structure. All of this internal. Okay. Yes, it does answer. Perfect. Okay, so let's go through this on gold. Okay, so that's internal. So we've covered swing and we've covered internal. So now let's just keep this nice and clean. Take away this so you can see the full chart. Now, I'm literally just going to put the bar replay tool at a random spot. So here, okay, guys. So this is where you're going to need your pen and papers ready, okay? Because this is where things get very intricate and you literally have to pay attention to every single candle, because if you don't, you'll miss something and your fractal highs and lows will be in the wrong place, and obviously that relaying into your trades being in the wrong place or your trading decisions being wrong as a whole. Okay, so is everyone else okay with that before we move on? Everyone else okay? Maris is ready. Green erase is okay. Okay, cool. So fractal structure. Now, this is where you guys are gonna have to really, really pay attention. Okay. So let's start from here. So we've got this candle obviously going down, this candle going down. So this candle breaks this candle's low. Obviously, the low of that candle being right there. Okay. So we break it. Now, this is where things get sticky, because although this is a bullish candle, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, okay? Because the low of this candle is lower than this low, okay? So therefore, that is a continuation of the fractal down movement, regardless of the color of the candle, okay? So really, you have to really accept that the color of the candle does not matter when you're looking at fractal structure, okay? So again, we've got this candle. This candle breaks that candle's low, so we've got continuation. This candle breaks that candle's low, so we've got continuation. Now look here. This candle doesn't break this candle's low. Therefore, what is that? This is now our fractal low, okay? Now we've pulled up. This candle trades higher than this one. This candle trades higher than this one. Then we get a pullback, okay? So now this is our fractal high. So now anything that happens in between here, let me just mark this out. Anything that happens in between the fractal high and the fractal low doesn't matter, okay? We are only waiting for either the high or the low to break, okay? And obviously in this scenario, it breaks. So let's, let's just mark it from here. So here we get that break, okay? And remember, with fractal structure, the wick, as long as it, pardon, please, didn't get the fractal low. What do you mean? Like you don't understand why the fractal low is here, or okay, so the fractal low is here because the next candle after this candle failed to break it. Okay, so now this is our fractal low. Does that make sense? Amazing. And Manny, what is a fractal low or high? That's what we're going through now. Okay, so we've got this fractal low here that has now been broken. Okay, now it has been broken. We now need to find out where our new fractal high is. But first, before we can find out where our new fractal high is, we need to know whether this candle here is in fact our new fractal low, or if the next candle continues lower. Okay, so we need to still wait for a new fractal low before we find our new fractal high. Okay, so a fractal low or high is basically the swing high or low internally. Um, not necessarily. No, it's the way I could explain it to make more sense is essentially it's the high or the low of each candle, if that makes sense. It has nothing to do with the swing or the internal structure. Fractal structure is literally on its own. It's something entirely different, and it's literally each candle. Does that make sense? I hope I've explained that. Okay, amazing. So as soon as price trades even 0.01 pips lower than this, even if it just wicks it and then comes back up, that is a confirmed break. Okay, that is a confirmed break. Whereas with internal and swing structure, what are we looking for? We're looking for a candle body close. Okay, so let's say that this is swing structure. Obviously, it's not. But let's say obviously this is our swing high, this is our swing low. This would be a because this candle has closed its body below this low, that would be a break. But with fractal structure, even if it wicked just here and then came back up, that is a confirmed fractal break. Okay, so now that we've broken this fractal low, let's see what the next candle does. So that's a continuation, so we leave it and see what happens next. That's a continuation, so we leave and see what happens next. That's a continuation. This is our pullback. Okay, so now we can change our fractal range. So this is our fractal low now. And now to find our fractal high, we're looking at the previous candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. Okay, so this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low. This does this, that does on that one, that does on that one, but this doesn't break this low, okay? So we zoom in and we can see that price trades higher than here. So it makes sense for us to put this as our fractal high, okay? So now anything in between these two lines, essentially we ignore, okay? We are now waiting for either the high or the low to break, okay? So let's see what happens here. We're just going sideways and there we go. This is where we get our fractal break to the downside again. So that's showing a continuation. So now we need to wait for a fractal pullback to be able to find our new trading range. Okay. Oh, I've gone too fast. Okay. That wasn't cool. That wasn't cool. All right. Let's, okay. So now we're waiting for our pullback. Okay. So this being our fractal high, this being our fractal low has now been broken. So now we're waiting for our pullback to be able to identify where our new trading range is. Okay. So remember, every time either the high or the low is broken in regards to fractal structure, we always now need to readjust and find where our new fractal high and low is. Okay. So now we are waiting for either a continuation or our pullback. Until then, obviously having that pullback, we can find out our new range. So there we have our pullback. So this here is our fractal low. Now we're looking for the previous candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. So this candle fails to break that low. Therefore, this is our fractal high. Okay, so now anything in between these two lines, we don't care until either is broken. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Here we go. Look, and this is how I'm showing you how minuscule it can be. This is a fractal break. Okay, so now we have our fractal change of character. Okay, this, even if it trades, can you guys see it here? How small of a wick broke above? This is a confirmed, absolutely a confirmed fractal break. Okay, so now we need to find our new fractal high and low. But before we do that, we need to see where the pullback is. Okay, so let's go here. Does that trade higher? No, it doesn't. Okay, so this is our fractal high. Or does it? Oh, no, it does. Apologies. It does trade higher. Okay, so that trades higher. So that's it. That's actually a continuation. That's a continuation. There we go. That's a pullback. Okay, apologies, guys. There we go. So this is our new fractal high. Now we need to find our new fractal low. So now this is where things change. Okay, so when when we're in a bearish scenario, in regards to fractal structure, to find our new high or low, we are looking for the previous candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. But obviously, now that we have that change of character, we are now looking for the previous candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. Okay, so this high breaks that high, this high breaks that high, this high breaks that high, this breaks that, this, yeah, this is where you have to zoom in. Yes, this breaks that high, but this fails to break this high, okay? But look, we could mark that there as our fractal low, but this has traded lower. Therefore, this is our fractal low, okay? And guys, I appreciate this is very, very, very intricate. Very confusing, but I will go through as much of this as we need to for you guys to understand, okay? So this is our fractal law. Anything in between, we do not care until one of the two is broken, okay? So there we go. We break that high. We break that high. We break that high. And we get a pullback, okay? So now, this is our fractal high. And now we are looking for a new fractal low. So again, the last candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. So that breaks that high, that breaks that high, that breaks that high, that breaks that high. That one does that does on that does on that, and that. But again, this doesn't break this one, so the low stays in the same place, obviously, because this wick trades lower than here. So the low stays in the same place in this situation, okay? Or in this example, rather. So again, anything that happens in between, we do not care. We are just waiting to see which one breaks first. There we go. Okay, so we've got another fractal change of character. So now we have to change our fractal low and our fractal high, but before we do that, we need a pullback. And there we have our pullback. So this is our fractal low now. Now we're looking for the previous candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. Okay, so this breaks that low, this breaks that low, but that doesn't break that low. Okay, and again, this is going to be very repetitive, but I have to do this so you guys understand. Let's see if you guys have been listening. Why is this high not the fractal high? Can anyone tell me? Already broken in next candle. Perfect. Marius hit the nail on the head. This candle has broken this high. And in more simpler terms, this candle has traded higher. Okay. So therefore, this is the fractal high. Okay. So now we don't care whatever happens in between these candles. We are just waiting for either the low to break for a continuation or the high to break for another change of character. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Oh, nice. Okay, so we've got another change of character, but again, now we need to change our fractal high and fractal low, but we can't yet until we find a pullback. Okay, there we have a pullback. So now this is our fractal high. Now, the previous candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. Okay, so that candle breaks that high, that breaks that high. This doesn't break this high. And this candle trades lower than the rest. So simple stuff. This is now our fractal low. Okay, so now we're waiting to see, do we get a change of character to the downside or do we continue upwards? There we go. We continue upwards. So now we need to see if where our next pullback is to adjust our trading range. Okay, there we go. That's our pullback. That's our high. Now, previous candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. This breaks that high, that breaks that high, that breaks that high, that doesn't break that high. So now this is our fractal low. Okay, so far is everyone following? I really appreciate that this is a very, very intricate piece of structure and it's going to take a while for you guys to understand. But so far, are you following? Yes. Perfect. Cheers, bro. Yes, all good. We'll need practice, but yes, grasping it. Good, good. Yeah, I understood. Perfect. Yes, essentially, I will be very honest with you. I'm not gonna lie to you. This piece of information here, fractal structure, although it is one of the keys to actually unlocking very, very good understanding of why the market moves or expecting where the market will move next, it is very hard to understand. It's going to take a while for you to wrap your head around. I'm really hoping that it doesn't take you guys as long as it took me. But yeah, it is really, really difficult to understand, but you will get there if you just continuously watch this video over and over again. Once it's published, you will come to the understanding of why the lows are why is that white wick the fractal low? Okay, because this star is spot on, so getting it's easy. Perfect. I really appreciate you. Kagi says not quite, but with practice, I'll get to exactly. So, Greener Ray asks, why is this white wick the fractal low? So this white wick is the fractal low because once we now have that fractal change of character, we now need to look for the previous candle or the nearest candle. Sorry, I've been saying previous twice this whole time, haven't I? We're looking for the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. Okay, so this candle breaks that high, this candle breaks this high, this candle breaks this high, but this doesn't break this high. Therefore, the low of the candle that doesn't break the previous candle's high is now our fractal low. Came here a bit later and already understand how it works, but how this helps our trading. I mean, what's the purpose? Okay, so with fractal structure compared with, with fractal structure teamed up with internal structure, you are going to understand where we are getting those swing pullbacks. Once you actually master fractal and internal, you are going to understand exactly where price is going to reverse. Okay, so this is how it helps you, and this is why fractal and internal is key when teamed up with swing structure. So yes, essentially fractal structure is here, and the purpose of it being there is because it helps you understand where the market is going to reverse. Okay, gotcha. No problem, no problem. Right, so back on track now. We are aiming to either break this fractal high. Please repeat what you just said about fractal low. Yeah, really is generally seen in Asian session. Please repeat what you just said about fractal low. Okay, so obviously because now we have that change of character to the upside, yeah, we are now looking for our fractal low. And of course, because we had this pullback here, we know this is our fractal high, but to find our fractal low, we are looking for the nearest candle that failed to break the previous candle's high. Also, don't get the low part of fractal. Okay, so I'll just say this one more time. The reason that this is the fractal low is because obviously now that we have this pullback after we got the change of character, now we have this pullback. To find the low, we need to find the nearest candle that failed to break the previous candle's high. Okay, so this high broke this high, this high broke this high, this high broke this high, but this high did not break this high. Therefore, the lowest part of the candle that failed to break the previous candle's high, that is now our fractal low. Got it now. Perfect. Kim, everything okay for you as well? I don't mind going through it as many times as you guys need to. Please don't be afraid to stop me. We will go through this as many times as you guys need. You are doing an amazing job. Thank you. I really, really appreciate you. Okay, cool. So now we are waiting for our fractal high to break for a continuation to the upside, or our fractal low to break for a change of character. Maria says, to make it easy for me, I take it as the candle did not contribute to the run. That, you know what? That's a way that I've never looked at it. That's actually very, very insightful. I'm actually going to add that to my own notes. That's, you know what? Yeah, thank you, Marius. That's actually a really, really good way to explain it. You guys, you can write that in your notes. That's actually a very drop my sorry. Yes, Marius. You're the G, man. All right. Anyways, so again, we are now waiting for our fractal high to break to continue upwards, or for our fractal low to break for a change of character. Okay, so let's see what happens. Again, anything in between, we do not care. Here we go. So now we've got our fractal change of character, okay? Let's just go one more candle here. And we now have our pullback. Okay, so fractal low is now, apologies, the live stream had ended automatically. All right, let me make sure we're recording. Yes, we are. Yeah, Okay, we're recording. Let's just give a moment for everyone to join. Apologies for that, guys. Is there a separate live for the giveaway? Yes, there will be a separate live for the giveaway. Because we are going through the live stream and it has taken a bit longer than I expected, the giveaway will be delayed. But as soon as this is finished, the giveaway will happen. Okay, guys. Anyway, because this is recording, we will just continue on, and anyone that has missed it, they will be able to see it once the video is uploaded. Anyway, okay, so again, we've got that pullback. So now this is our fractal low. So now we need to find our fractal high. Okay, so we're looking for the nearest candle that failed to break the previous candle's low in this sense. Okay, so this candle breaks that low, this breaks that low, this breaks that low, but that doesn't break this low. Okay, so now this is our fractal high. Okay, anything in between, we are just looking, anything in between doesn't matter. We're just looking for whatever happens when the low breaks or the high breaks. Okay, everyone with me so far? Yep, cool. So let's continue this. So look, if we zoom in here, even though we came close, we didn't break it. So now we're still holding back until we see either break. There we go. So we break here. Now, where do we get that pullback? So that's a continuation because this candle low has broken this low. That is a continuation because this low breaks that low. Continuation, pullback. Okay. So now we move our fractal low to this stage, and now we need to find our new fractal high. Okay, so the previous candle that fails to break, the nearest candle, sorry, that fails to break the previous candle's low. Okay, we've got a chat. Gagi says so far so good. Cool. So now we're looking for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low. Okay, so that breaks that low. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Here. Okay, this candle fails to break this candle's low. So now this is our fractal high. Anything that happens in between, we don't care until either the high or the low breaks. There we go. We just wicked above, but again, with fractal structure, we're just looking for the wick breaks, okay? So this is a wick that broke above our fractal high. Therefore, this is now our new fractal high because we compare it with our pullback, okay? So now we need to look for our new fractal low. So let's see if you guys have been listening. How do we find our fractal low? What do we need to look for when it comes to here? Anyone? Can anyone tell me? Yes, perfect. Candle that did not contribute to the push up. In other words, we're looking for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high. Fails to break previous candle's high. Perfect. Marius, you are on point. You do you want to take over, Marius? I could go and have a cup of tea right now and you can teach them all. All right, man. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Right. So previous candle, the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high. Okay, so this breaks that breaks that high, this doesn't break that high. Okay, so this would be our low, but because this candle trades lower, this is our low. Okay, so now this is our fractal range, our fractal high and our fractal low. So now we're looking for either the high to break or the low to break. Obviously, the low to break to be a change of character or the high to break to be a continuation. Okay, there we go. Continuation. Now we need a pullback. There we go. We have our pullback. So this is our fractal high. Now what do we need to do? We need to look for our new fractal low. And the same scenario here, because we are going up, we need to look for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, and obviously easy on the eye, it's right here. But because, oh no, that does trade lower. Okay, so this is our fractal low, okay? So again, I appreciate it's very repetitive, but I do need to just continue to say it so everyone understands. Anything in between, we do not care until either the high breaks for a continuation or the low breaks for a change of character to the downside, okay? There we go. We now have a continuation to the upside and we have our pullback. So now this is our fractal high. And again, because we did continue to the upside, we are still using the same system to find our fractal low. So this breaks that high. This doesn't break this high. So this is our fractal low. But because this is the lowest point that traded lower than this is now our fractal low. Okay. So again, we are now waiting to break our fractal high for a continuation or break our fractal low for a change of character. There we go. We have our change of character. As you can see, we literally wicked by a small amount. But again, because this is fractal structure, this does class as a change of character break. Okay, so now we need to wait for our pullback, which we do get here. So this is now our fractal low. Now, we need to find the previous candle, the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's low, which easily is right here. But because this candle trades higher, our fractal high stays in the same place. Okay, let's just run through that one more time. So because we have that change of character, now the way we find our high flips as compared to finding the low. So now we need to find the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low. Okay, so this low breaks that low, 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 but this low does not break this low. So this is our high. But because this candle trades higher, this is our high. Okay, simple stuff. So now we are now waiting for a continuation to the downside or to continue up for a change of character. Okay, there we go, continuation. So now we need a pullback. Continuation, 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 pullback. Okay, so that is now our fractal low. So how do we now find our fractal high? Because we have had that change of character, we are now looking for the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. Okay, so this candle breaks that low, this breaks that low, that breaks this low, that breaks this low, that breaks that low, that doesn't break this low. Okay, so this is our high, but because this trades higher, this is our high. Okay, so again, anything in between doesn't matter. We're either looking to continue to the downside by breaking our fractal low or to get a change of character to the upside by breaking our fractal high. Is everyone with me so far? Amazing. Okay, so let's continue this. So again, we are looking for a break of our fractal low to continue to the downside or a break of our fractal high to have a change of character to the upside. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Anything in between, we do not care. There we go. We get a continuation to the downside. And there we get our pullback, okay? So this is now our fractal low. Now, we need to find our fractal high. So this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, but this candle does not break this low. Therefore, the very top of this candle is now our fractal high. Okay, again, anything in between, we do not care. We're waiting for the fractal low to break for our continuation or our fractal high to break for our change of character. There we go, continuation and pullback. That's our fractal low. And again, this candle breaks that low. This candle doesn't break this low. So that's our fractal high. Anything in between, we do not care. We're waiting for the fractal low to break or the fractal high to break. There we go, continuation, 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 pullback. So this is our fractal low. Now we need to look for our fractal high. So this candle breaks that low, that candle breaks that low, that candle breaks that low, but this candle does not break this low. Therefore, that is our fractal high, okay? Again, anything in between, doesn't matter. We're waiting for either of the two to break. There we go, that's a continuation, and we have our pullback. So that's our fractal low, and this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, this candle does not break that low. Therefore, this is our high, but because this candle trades higher than that high, this is now our fractal high, okay? Continuation, pullback. fractal low. That breaks that low. That doesn't break this low. This is now our high. Okay, change of character to the upside. Okay, so now we need to find our pullback, which is there. So this is now our fractal high, and this is where the framework changes. Okay, so now instead of looking for the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high, we are now looking for the nearest candle to, sorry, low. Now we're looking for the previous candle to, the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. Okay, so that breaks that high, that doesn't break that high. Therefore, this is now our low. Anything in between, we don't care. We're waiting for either of the two to break. So we're looking for the fractal high to break for our continuation to the upside, or we are looking for our fractal low to break for a continuation to the downside. Okay. Okay. There we go. So that was a change of character to the upside. And so now we need to wait for our pullback. There we go. We got our pullback. Now we're looking for the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. Okay, so that breaks that high, 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 but this doesn't break that high. So now this is our fractal low. Anything in between, we do not care. It's just whatever breaks first, the low or the high. Okay. Okay, so that's a change of character to the downside. Okay. You know what I'm gonna do actually? Yeah, we can do that in a bit. So yeah, now we're waiting for our pullback. That's a continuation. There we go. That's our pullback. So now this is our low. So now again, because we had that change of character to the downside, now the framework flips. So instead of finding the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high, now it flips to the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. So this breaks that low, this breaks that low, that, that. But then we fail to break here. Okay. So now that is our fractal high. Okay. Now continuation, pullback, fractal low, fractal high. And the more and more you practice this, guys, the easier it's going to become to spot these things. You won't even need to go, okay, that breaks that high, that break. You'll just see it, you know? Now, we wait. There we go. Change the character again, I believe. And we get our pullback. So that's a fractal low. Now, the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. So that breaks that, that breaks that, that breaks that, that breaks that, but that doesn't break that. So now this is our fractal high. Okay, and just to make this easy for you guys as well, I'm going to start to map out where those change of characters are happening, just so it might be easier for you to follow along. Okay, so now we're waiting for our fractal low to break for a continuation, or our fractal high to break for a change of character. There we go, continuation and a pullback. So that's our fractal low. That breaks that low, that breaks that low, that breaks that low, but this doesn't break that low. Therefore, that's our fractal high. Continuation, pullback. That breaks that low, that breaks that low, that doesn't break that low. So this is our fractal high. It doesn't break here, so that's not continuation just yet. There we go. Continuation, pullback. So now that's our fractal low. This kind of breaks that, that breaks that, that breaks that, that doesn't break that. So now this is our fractal high, okay? Oh, went too fast there. Okay, so now we have a change of character, okay? So now what I'm going to start to do now is map out those change of characters. So let's just mark that out. Change of character to the upside, correct? Now I need to find our new fractal low. So how do we do that? We look for, oh, we've got a chat here. How does this help for entries that people that already understand this? Can you ask that in a different way? I'm not sure I'm following. How does this help with entries for people that already understand this? From what I understand from what you're asking, essentially, how this helps with entries is number one, scalping. If you do scalping, fractal structure can help a lot because then you understand where the market is going. And number two, with long entries, when you're trading those swing trades or the intraday trades, it helps you because you now know exactly where at which point the market is now pivoting. So we have got that fractal change of character. Okay, so now we are looking for that pullback, which we already have here. Okay, so now we can mark this out as our fractal high. Now we need to look for our fractal low. How do we do that? We're looking for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, which I can see easily is this candle. Okay, so our fractal low would stay in the same place. And just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to put it here. And you guys know if it breaks below this line, that would be a change of character. Okay, there we go. We get a continuation. And we get our pullback. Okay, so now this is our fractal high. Now we need to look for our fractal low. So the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, I can see it's right here. So I would mark that out. Okay, so again, we're looking for a continuation to the upside or a change of character to the downside. There we go. We get a change of character to the downside. So now I would mark this out for you guys as a change of character. So now again, we are looking for a pullback, which we get right there. So now we know that this is our fractal low. Now we're looking for our fractal high. So this low breaks that low, that breaks that, that breaks that. This doesn't break that. So this is now our fractal. Oh, sorry. This one is now our fractal high. Okay. So again, we're looking for a fractal low break to continue our downside movement or the fractal high to break for our change of character. Okay. Now, I really appreciate you guys that this is very repetitive and you may be bored already. I can see that some of you have actually left already, but trust me, the more and more that you guys actually research into fractal structure and do the boring stuff first, the better your trading decisions are going to be, okay? Mario says, no, this is good. Practice makes perfect. Exactly. It's actually easier than trying to catch. It's actually easier than trying to catch a fair value gap. Not at all. The drill is necessary. Yes, it is. Keijo, are we going over this video? Yes. Mix is useful. I really appreciate you guys, especially for staying as well, because I really do understand that this is very boring, it's very repetitive, but again, as I said, it's important, okay? I just joined a couple of minutes. Are you gonna upload this video? Yes, I have recorded the past two the part one and part two that we did. So this is part three. Everything will be stitched together and uploaded for you guys whenever you need to go watch it in your own time after all of this is finished, okay? Mara says, we appreciate your time. I appreciate you for joining. Anil says, I will practice it definitely. Good. So what's your take on fair value gaps? So essentially, fair value gaps for me are a piece, not a piece, it's a tool for me to use to be able to see, like, let's say for me, if there's no clear demand or supply, I'll use a fair value gap. And that's just how I trade fair value gaps. Some other people use it with the silver bullet, and it's pretty much the same thing. Fair value gaps, very useful to know. Boring stuff is usually what most people skip, but that's what makes a lot clearer. Exactly. We really appreciate your time and patience. I appreciate you guys for joining. Which is easier for you? What do you mean? Like, which is easier for me to understand or easier to trade from? Fractal or fair value gap? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, so essentially now that I understand now that I understand fractal structure, just because of the importance of fractal structure and how heavy hitting it is compared to fair value gaps, I actually prefer fractal structures compared to fair value gaps, if that makes sense. Amazing. All right, so we now have it's a bit easier. Yeah. I mean, if you're saying fractal structure is easier, definitely not. Fair value gap is actually much more easier to understand, and especially for the newer traders, you can see where fair value gap is very easy to identify. Obviously, you have your fair value gap here. Uh, so from that there, that's obviously a fair value gap here. Obviously, you've got another one here, fair value gap. Down here, you've got a fair value gap. Yeah, it's quite easy to understand, especially for the newer traders. But obviously, fractal structure is much more detrimental to understand. To me, fair value gap is not that hard compared to fractal structures. Exactly. Yeah, fractal structure is a headache. I hope we can do another call on entries on this fractal structure on higher time frames. Definitely, definitely. As soon as everything has been taken out of the way, I can actually tell you right now. Let me just close out of this for a second. Um, we still need to do a live stream covering supply and demand, which will be next week. And then the week following, we'll be covering liquidity. Then the week following, we'll be covering order flows. And then the week following, we'll be covering entries. And after all of these live streams are completed, there will be a final or a finale live stream where we will be incorporating everything together to show you exactly why market structure matters, why fractal structure has such a big part of all of this, and obviously supply and demand, liquidity, showing everything together to show you guys exactly how you can take trades using this you know, this framework. On which time frames you mark out those fractal lows and fractal highs usually. Does that depend on your trading style? Yes, so it does depend on your trading style. So if you're scalping, I have used fractal structure for scalping, and when I do it for scalping, I do it on the 1 minute time frame just because everything is so quick, and I usually scalp on the 1 minute time frame anyway. Okay, so obviously yeah, so with your style of trading or whatever type of trading you will be doing on that day, then yes, I recommend obviously going down and adjusting your time frames to whatever you're doing. But obviously with swing structure, I do recommend just sticking on the 4 hour to be able to see like, okay, yeah, now price is looking to reverse, and obviously pair that with the fractal change of characters and the internal break of structures to have that extra confirmation of when the swing trend is changing. It will be great if we get some calls on entries and exits. Yes, so with the entries, which is actually the last one before the finale where we put everything together, I will be going through where to enter and where to exit, and obviously where to put your break-even mark, your take profits, you know, take profit one, take profit two, take profit three, wherever, and you guys will have your full understanding of that. William said, thanks for the lesson, gave me a major insights. I'll take my leave now as I've got school in 4 hours, no problem. Have a good day. What's your middle and entry time frame? So I don't actually have a middle time frame. So I've cut that out in my strategy. I don't have a middle time frame. So essentially I go straight from the higher time frame to mark out my structure and obviously to see where price is going, where the direction is going. And as soon as I see that prices come close to a demand or a supply or wherever it may be, fair value gap, or if fractal structure is showing me that I can trade this way, then I'll go straight down into the 15-minute or the 5-minute and I'll look for my entry. Does that make sense? What type of trader are you, and do you have a video of your strat? Currently, no. I trade smart money concepts. I am a SMC trader. And I don't have any videos of my strategy just yet. I am currently working to have all of these live streams put up for you guys on the YouTube channel. And I'll leave the links to the Discord and the YouTube channels at the end of this, so you guys can go and check it out. But yeah, essentially, when all of those things are uploaded, for everyone to have that free education, then I'll start going through obviously the like a few more videos going through exactly how to implement my strategy into real life trading, if that makes sense. Mickey says, I can't believe that someone spends so much of his personal time to educate others for free. Huge respect, man. Much love for that. When will next Zoom take place? So we will be live streaming every Thursday around 3 p.m., give or take. And I really appreciate you guys coming here, spending your free time to come and listen to me. Really appreciate you guys. This is very important to me. Thank you for taking the time to give us these free Zoom calls. No problem. What's your bias now since you have a change of character on both sides? Okay, let's see what you mean. So we have a change of character to the downside here, and then we've pulled back because this candle didn't trade lower than this for the continuation. So that's our pullback. And we do not yet have a change of character to both sides. So I'm not sure what you mean. And it says, I'm so grateful. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for your kind words. And again, for joining the live stream to listen to me. I really, really appreciate you guys. Change of character on the left. So yeah, so here you've got this. Oh, okay. So you've got okay, I understand what you mean. So you've got this change of character here and then this change of character here. So again, fractal structure on its own, like when you're looking at it here, what I'm showing you here is literally simply a drill. It's just showing you how to map out fractal structure. Now that I'm seeing this, I don't have a bias. It's literally me just showing you how to work out and have your mind wrapped around fractal structure. When you're looking at this at actual, like when you're looking at this like at the actual swing, so obviously there would have been fractal movements here, there would have been fractal movements here, here, at each high there would have been fractal movements. There is no bias of having two change of characters, if that makes sense. There won't be. It's either it's continuing up or it's continuing down, you know? It's just because of like how we are here within this internal structure, obviously now continuing now, obviously this being the strong low, we're now looking for price to continue up here and then continue to break this this low. Do you get what I mean? But I think yeah, no, on the live charts I've actually marked this out as a change of character. That's why this is a strong low. So we can expect price to break here. Does that make sense? I hope I'm explaining this for you that you in a way that you guys can understand. Sometimes I can't understand myself. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so now and now that we have this change of character to the downside, obviously we're looking for the fractal low to break for a continuation, or we're looking for the fractal high to break for another change of character to the upside. And again, just to have this fact drilled in your head, this doesn't necessarily mean anything right now. I'm just showing you how to map out fractal structure so that when you do come to these low points in swing structure, you'll understand how to map it out and see, okay, yeah, now we're getting this break, okay? And at the end of this, we will go through each of these highs and lows to see where the fractal structure has played out, okay? To see exactly how to do it, where it actually means something, if that makes sense. Change of character is not break of structure, right? Break of structure is a whole different story. Exactly. So a break of structure is essentially a continuation in trend. Okay, so when you look at it here, Obviously, we're going to the downside. Break of structure is just when it breaks that previous low and continues the trend. Okay, so we've got a break of structure here, meaning we've continued to the downside. We've pulled back up into discounted areas. We didn't break that high for a change of character, but we've pulled back down and caused another break of structure, showing a continuation in trend. Same story here, pulled up into discounted areas, pulled back down, broken this structure, obviously this low, hence the name break of structure, showing a continuation in the downwards move, okay? But if, however, so let me just draw this out so you understand fully. Um, so let's say we're moving up to the upside and then we get this. So obviously price up, pulled down into discounted areas, pulled up, break of structure. Same story here, pulled up, break of structure, pulled up, break of structure. So this would be our strong low. Because why? Because it broke this high to the upside. But if now price comes down and breaks this low and closes, remember, it can't be a wick. If it closes below on swing structure, this is now a change of character. And this is obviously one of the components that have a confirmed trend change. Okay, so the change of character, the best way to understand change of character and break of structure, you can write this down. A break of structure is a continuation in trend. So here, oh, what am I doing? So here, break of structure, that's showing a continuation. Here, break of structure, showing a continuation. And then uh, here, break of structure, showing a continuation. But then here is a change of character. That's what shows that we have now a reversal, or one of the components to confirming that we do have a reversal. Okay, does that answer you? No problem. Okay, so let's get straight back into this written there, Keiki. Some people use continuation of structure. It's same as break of structure, right? Yes, so a continuation of structure essentially, I mean, I've never really heard of this phrase, continuation of structure, but from the sound of it, it does sound pretty much the same as a break of structure because it's a continuation. It breaks the structure, but it continues. Okay, so a continuation of structure. So I do think that that is the same thing. I think we use it loosely, but it is important to understand the difference. Yes, yes, exactly. I do see some people out there um calling change of characters a break of structure, and you can be forgiven for thinking so because it does it does break the structure, but it a more in-depth name for it would be a change of character because the whole character of this trend is what? Bullish. But as soon as we've broken the low, obviously, again, change of character. We've changed the character of the trend, and now we're aiming to go lower. So yes, Kegi, people do use it quite loosely. Some people, to no fault of their own, they haven't been educated properly on the terms. But yeah, it is really important to understand the difference, definitely. Okay, guys, we are now recording. Okay, yes, so we'll continue here where we left off. Okay, so we had the change of character to the downside, didn't we? So we are now waiting for the fractal low to break to continue our movement to the downside, or our fractal high to break for another change of character moving to the upside, okay? So let's see what happens here. And we get a wick above for another change of character. So now we need to wait for our pullback. There we go. We get our pullback. So let's change this here. Change of character to the upside. And this is now our pullback. So we have our fractal high here. And we need to look for our new fractal low. So the previous candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, which again is this one. Okay. So that's our fractal low. So again, anything in between, we do not care. We're waiting for either the fractal low or the fractal high to break, okay? There we go. We get a continuation. Now we need a pullback and we get the pullback straight away. So now we need to wait for, no, now we need to find our fractal low. Okay. So it's the previous candle that failed to break the previous candle's high. So that breaks that high, that breaks that high, that doesn't break this high. So now look, we have a really small range here. Okay. There we go. Continuation. Now we need to wait for a pullback. There we go. Now, the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, being this one. So this is our fractal range. We get another continuation and a pullback. So now I need to look for another low, obviously this one, because this fails to break this high. Now we get a change of character to the downside. Okay, now we need to wait for a pullback, which we get here. And then the pullback happens to change character straight away. So we can mark it out just so you guys understand. So then that would have been our fractal low. And now because we have that change of character, we'll shorten this out and mark it out as a change of character to the upside again. Now we need to now wait for our pullback, which happens here. So this is now our fractal high. Okay. Now again, anything in between, we do not care. We're just waiting for either the fractal low to break for another change of character or the fractal high to break for a continuation. There we go, change of character. So now waiting for our pullback, which happens here. So now this is our fractal low. Okay. Now we're looking for our high. So the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low, which is this one. So the high stays in the same place. Now, again, anything in between do not matter. We're waiting for either the high to break for another change of character or the fractal low to break for a continuation. See what we get here. There we go. We get continuation. Okay. So we need to wait for our pullback, which happens here. Now we need to find our new high. How do we find our new high? We're looking for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low, which I can see easily is here. Okay, so again, anything in between doesn't matter. We're waiting for either the low to break for a continuation or the high to break for a change of character to the upside. There we go, continuation, waiting for a pullback now, which happens here. So this is our fractal low. Now we need to find our new fractal high. So that breaks that low. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That doesn't break. But because this trades higher than this, which is obviously where this doesn't break this low, this is our high. Okay. Now we get another continuation, even though we wicked barely, it did go past. So look, this I really want you guys to understand how minuscule this can be. This is our continuation. Okay. So now we need to wait for our pullback, which happens there. So now this is our fractal low. Now we need to find our fractal high. So the previous candle to fail to break, the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low, which happens to be right here. Okay. So mark that out. And we already have a change of character. So we can mark this change of character. Now we need to wait for our pullback. There we go. So this is our fractal high. Now we need to wait for our we need to find our fractal low now. So the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high now, okay, because we had that change of character. So this breaks that high, that breaks this high, that breaks that high, that doesn't break this high. So the fractal low stays in the same place, okay? Here we go. Now, again, anything in between, doesn't matter. It's noise. We're waiting for the fractal high to break for a continuation or the fractal low to break for another change of character. There we go. Continuation. We're waiting for the pullback now. There we go. Fractal high. So now we're waiting for, now we need to find our fractal low. So the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, which I can see is here. So I would then move my fractal low to there. Okay, so this is our fractal range now. Continuation. Now we need a pullback. Here we go. Fractal high. Now we need a new low. So the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high. So this candle fails to break that candle's high. So this is our low. Let's just make sure that I'm right. Yeah, just about fails. Okay. Now continuation up here or a change of character down here. Continuation. Now we need a pullback. Go. So this is our fractal high. Now, nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, this one. Okay. So that's our fractal low. And yeah, we can continue here now. There we go. We just about missed it. You can see the gap in between there, but here is where we get the continuation. So now we need to wait for a pullback before we can adjust our trading range, which happens right there. So there we go. And now we need to find our fractal low. So now I feel like I'm going too fast, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. How do we find our fractal low? What do we look for? Perfect. Mick says the last candle that didn't break the previous candle's high. The nearest low that led to the break of high. Okay. Marius, candle which did not contribute to push up. Perfect. So this candle breaks that high, this candle breaks that high, this candle breaks that high. This candle does not contribute to the push up. Therefore, this is now our fractal low. Okay. Anything in between doesn't matter. We are waiting for the fractal high to break for a continuation or the fractal low to break for our change of character. Change of character. So there we go. We mark that out here. Change of character. Now I need a pullback. There we go. Fractal low. Now we need to find our new fractal high. So the previous candle, the last candle that fails to break the previous candle's low, which I can see is this candle right here. This candle fails to break this candle's low. So we will move our high to there, okay? So now we're looking to break our fractal low to continue to the downside or have another change of character to push to the upside. There we go. We got a continuation here. So now we need to wait for our pullback. There we go. Fractal low. Now we need to find our fractal high. So the last candle that fails to break the previous candle's low, which is this candle right here. But because this candle trades higher, this is our fractal high. Okay, let's continue. There we go. We've got a continuation to the downside. So we're waiting for our pullback. There we go. We have a pullback which leads straight into a break of a change of character, sorry. So we can then mark that out as our change of character. Okay. And now we're waiting for our pullback to be able to find our high and adjust our low. There we go. We get the pullback. So now we can mark that out as our fractal high. Now, the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, okay? So this fails to break that high, so the low stays in the same place. Mick says, learn this, another indicator that I can turn off from my charts. Yes, sir. Okay, here we go. Do we get a continuation or do we get a change of character? We get a continuation, so now we need to wait for our pullback. There we go. So fractal high. Now we need to find our fractal low. So it's the previous candle that fails to break the previous candle's high. So it's here. But because this candle trades lower, we put it here. Okay. Continuation. Oh, sorry. That's a change of character, isn't it? So I can mark that out as my chalk. Now we're waiting for our pullback, which we get here. So this is our fractal low. Now the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low, which is obviously this one because it fails to break that candle's low. Therefore, we move our fractal high to there. And we get another change of character. So we can move that there for a change of character and we wait for our pullback, which happens there. Fractal high. Now we need to change our fractal low. So the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, which happens to be here, that doesn't break that high. So then we change that to there. Okay, so this is our new fractal trading range. So now we're waiting for a break of the fractal high to continue to the upside or a break of our fractal low to have a change of character to the downside. Okay. There we go. We get a continuation. Now we need to wait for our pullback, which we get right there. So this is now our fractal high. Now we need to find a new fractal low. So this breaks that high, that breaks this high, that breaks that high. This doesn't break this high. Okay, so this would be our low, but because this trades lower, it wouldn't make sense to leave our low there. So we move our low here. So this is our new range. There we go. We get our continuation. And this trades higher. So even though it's a bearish candle, remember, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the color of the candle. This wick traded higher than this. Okay, so it's a continuation. So now we need to wait for our pullback. There we go. We get our pullback. So this is our fractal high. Now to find our fractal low, we need to find the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. So this high breaks that high, this high breaks this high doesn't break this high. Therefore, this would be our low. But because this trades lower, this is our low. Okay. Tib says, I love the way you teach. I really appreciate you, man. I really, really do appreciate you. If I can help at least one trader to become better, I think my mission is complete. Again, I'll say this over and over again. I really appreciate you guys joining. I really, really do. Okay, so now we are looking for a break of our fractal high to continue the upwards movement, or the break of our fractal low for a change of character to the to the downside. There we go. We've got our change of character here, so we can straight away mark that out. But before we adjust our fractal high and fractal low, what do we look for? Can anyone tell me? Maria says pullback. Perfect. Spot on. So we're looking for our pullback, which happens right here. So now we mark out this as our fractal low. Now we can change our fractal high. So the last candle that fails to break the previous candle's low. Okay, so this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, this candle breaks that low, this candle doesn't break this low. Therefore, this is our high. But because this trades higher, this is now our high. Yes, so this is now our fractal range. Mick says it's really cool to watch that stream on one screen and practice it myself on another screen. Yes, if you guys do have the luxury of having two screens and are able to do this with me, I really suggest you do so because obviously doing it by yourself is the best way to learn this. So yeah, really, really cool that you can do that, Mick. Really, really cool. So yes, we are now waiting for a change of character by breaking our fractal high or a fractal low to break to have our continuation. Okay, so let's see what we get. We get a change of character to the upside again, which is actually expected because if you look at the overall trend of things, obviously we're in the replay tool. So us seeing that this is a strong low from what I've marked out before, because obviously I can see before everything that's happened to the right of this. We now know that price is going to come up and break this strong high. Okay, so it's expected now that we are going to get a lot of change of characters to the upside. Does the black candle go higher than the white candle? Let's have a look. Which one do you mean? This candle goes higher than this candle? Yes, it does. But again, this is our pullback because this candle didn't trade higher than this one. So this would be our fractal high, and this doesn't break it, so it's not a continuation. No, the fractal white candle. What do you mean? This candle? I don't get what you mean. Mr. Eagle, is it cool? Is it cool if I unmute you quickly just so you can say it? I might understand a bit better. Okay, I've asked you to unmute. Maybe you could explain it to me with words.
All right. I'm just asking. The way you drew your fractal line, you said that the white candle that didn't close below the previous candle, right, is the fractal
So
high.
this candle here.
No, the previous one, the fifth one behind.
So what?
The one you used to pick your fractal high. Exactly that one.
This one here?
No, two previous candles from that.
This one?
Yes, is that not your fractal high candle?
No, because we pulled back down in here to create our fractal low, and this is the fractal low because we had this candle didn't trade lower than this. Okay, so then obviously our high would have been somewhere up here, and
Yes.
we traded lower than here. So that was our change
Okay.
of character. So this is just the pullback.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All
Okay.
good?
Thank you.
No problem.
All
No
good.
problem.
All good.
No problem. Okay, so um let's go back a bit just so we can actually look at that again. Okay, so just to show you again. So this was obviously looking here, we had our change of character to the upside. Okay, so we're looking for that. We are now expecting price to continue to the upside, which it does. Right, so let's use our replay tool just to come back here properly, just so everyone understands. So change of character to the downside. Let's just 1 second. All right. So at this point, we got our change of character. Okay. So now we're looking for that pullback, which happens here. Fractal high here. Now we need to look for the fractal low. So obviously the last candle to fail to break the previous candle's high, which would be this one here. Okay. So that fails to break that low. High, sorry. So then this is now our fractal low. Okay. Now we're waiting for either the fractal high or the fractal low to break. In this case, the fractal high breaks, so that's a continuation, but now we need to wait for our pullback, which happens here. Now we need to look for our new fractal low. So it's this candle because it fails to break this candle's high, but because this trades lower than that candle, that is now the low. Okay. Now we get that continuation here. So now we need to wait for our pullback. And does this trade higher? Yes, it trades higher. So that's a continuation. And I believe this is where we get the pullback. Yep. So that's our fractal high. So now because we have our new fractal high, we need to find our fractal low, which is the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. So that breaks that high, that breaks that high, that doesn't break this high. Okay. So this would be our low. But because this is trading lower, that's our fractal low. Okay. I hope that makes sense, Mr. Eagle, for you and everyone else as well. So this is current price now. And perfect sense. Yes, it does. Amazing, amazing. So this is now our fractal high. This is now our fractal low. So now we are again waiting for our fractal high to break for a continuation or our fractal low to break for a change of character. So let's see what happens. There we go. We get a change of character. So let's change that, change of character. Now we need to wait for our pullback, okay, to be able to readjust our fractal high and to find where our fractal low is, which happens right there. So this is our fractal low. And the last candle to fail to break the previous candle's low. So that breaks that low, that breaks that low, that breaks that low, but this doesn't break this low. Therefore, the high of this candle would be our high. But because this is the highest point that traded higher, this is now our fractal high. Okay. And as we can see here, there's a gap between the fractal high and the top of this candle. Therefore, it isn't actually a break yet. So now we are waiting for a break of our fractal high to continue to the upside and have a change of character, or continue to the downside for our downward movement. And we get a break to the upside. So here we can mark that out as our change of character. Okay. And now we need our pullback, which happens right there. Can you do some top-down analysis on GBP AUD after? Absolutely, I can. Yes. So let's come here. This is now our fractal high. Now we need to find our new fractal low. Okay, so the last candle to fail to break the previous candle's high being this one. So the low stays in the same place. Okay. Now, what happens? We get a continuation. Now we need to wait for our pullback, which happens there, I think. Yeah, it trades lower. So that is now our fractal high. Now we need to find our new fractal low, right? So let's delete this. Now we're looking for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, which I can see is this one. So then obviously this would be the low, but because this trades lower, this is our fractal low. Okay, now what do we get? A continuation to the upside or a change of character to the downside? There we go. We get a continuation to the upside. Do you guys see how minuscule that is? Even though it wicked above just about, that is a confirmed continuation to the upside. So now we are waiting for our pullback to be able to adjust our high and our low. There we go. We get the pullback. So that's our fractal high. Now we are looking for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, which is this one. Okay. But of course, because this trades lower, this is our high. Now we need to see if we break this fractal low for a change of character to the downside or break the fractal high for a continuation. There we go. Change of character. So we can change that. Change of character. Now we need to see our pullback happen. There we go. So we can mark that there. Fractal low. Now we need to adjust our fractal high. So we're looking for the previous candle or the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candles low. In this case, the fractal high stays in the same place. There we go. We get a continuation to the downside. So now we're waiting for our pullback, which happens here. So there we go. That's our fractal low. Now we need to change our fractal high. So we're looking for the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's low. So this is where we need to zoom in because we can see clearly that this breaks that low, this breaks that low. Now we can see clearly that that breaks that low, but this fails to break this low. Therefore, this would be our fractal high. But again, because this has traded above it, this is now our fractal high. Okay. Now, again, anything in between doesn't matter. We're waiting for the high to break for a continuation to for a change of character, or for the low to break for a continuation to the downside. There we go. We get a continuation. Now we need our pullback. There we go. So now we need to find our new high. So this candle fails to break this low. Therefore, this is now our high. And you can see price now setting itself up for a change of character. Okay, you can see now because the range is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And there we go. As I predicted, we get a change of character to the upside. And change that. Now we need to look for our pullback, which happens there. So now this is our fractal high. And we're looking for the nearest candle to fail to break the previous candle's high, which would be this one. So then we move our fractal range. So this is now our fractal range. We're looking to break the fractal high for a continuation to the upside, or break our fractal low for another change of character. There we go, continuation. Now we're looking for the pullback. Now we need to find the nearest candle that fails to break the previous candle's high, would be this one, because that breaks this high, but that doesn't break this high. Therefore, this is now our range. And we get another change of character to the downside. So I'm sure you guys are starting to pick this up, but we will just go through this for 7 more minutes. That's how much we have left on the live stream, and then we will come back and do a last final live stream just to go through GBP AUD and analyze exactly how I would analyze. Okay, so let's look back at this. What happened here? I've lost my train of thought now. We've got that fractal high here, fractal low, broke it for a change of character, wasn't it? Because we had this change of character. Yes. Change of character. All right, here. Ooh, what have I done? I'll DM you to screenshots if that's okay. Maybe you can answer me later. Definitely. Go ahead. So that's our change of character. So now we're waiting for our pullback. There we go. Now we need to find our new fractal high. So this candle breaks that low, that candle breaks that low, that candle breaks that low, but this candle doesn't break that low. Therefore, it's not a new high. It stays in the same place. Another continuation. Now we're waiting for the pullback, which happens here. There we go. Now we need to find our new high again. So this high, this low breaks this low breaks this low, but this low doesn't break this low. Therefore, this would be our new high. But because this is the pullback candle and it's the current candle that trades higher than this one, this is now a fractal high. Okay, so I'm guessing we're going to get a break of a change of character to the upside, which we do here. So let's just make this bigger so you guys can see it. So now we're waiting for our pullback. Trades high. Yes, it trades higher. There we go. That's our pullback. So now this is our fractal high. Now we need to find our fractal low. So this candle trades higher than this. 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 But this candle doesn't trade higher than this. Therefore, this would be our low, but this trades lower. So the low stays in the same place. Okay. So now we are waiting for a continuation to the upside by breaking our fractal high, or a change of character back to the downside by breaking our fractal low. There we go. Change of character back to the downside. So we mark this out as a change of character. And we need to wait for our pullback. There we go. So now this is our fractal low. And we are now looking for our new fractal high. I actually think it stays in the same place. Yes, it does, because this breaks this high, this breaks this, sorry, this breaks this low, this breaks this low, this breaks this low, but this doesn't break this low. Therefore, this is our high. So how is fractals done on the smaller time frame? So essentially, fractal is done exactly the same on a smaller time frame. You do it exactly the way I'm showing you now, but the difference is when you do it on a smaller time frame, I suggest you do it if you are scalping. Don't do it for seeing where the reversals are happening or whatever. If you're doing it to find it, which I do suggest, if you're using fractal structure solely to find out where the market is going to shift, do it on the higher time frames, the 4 hour, the 1 day, those type of time frames. But again, you can use fractal structure on smaller time frames, but do it for shorter length of trades. So scalping, a few seconds, few minutes in one trade, and then get out with your profits. Okay, good. So we've got that fractal high, we've got that fractal low, change of character. Okay, so now we're looking to break our fractal low to continue to the downside, or break our fractal high to get another change of character. There we go. We break our fractal high. Now we need to look for our pullback, which happens here. There we go. So now we need to look for our new fractal low to complete our now new fractal range. Okay. So this high breaks this high breaks this high. So does that, so does that, so does that, but this doesn't. Okay. So this would be our low. But as you guessed it, this low trades lower than that one. Therefore, this is now our trading range fractal wise. Okay. So now we are looking for a continuation to the upside, or to break our fractal low to have another change of character. There we go. We have a continuation. Now we need to look for our pullback. There we go. We have a pullback. So this is our fractal high. Last candle to fail to break the previous candle's high. Obviously this one, but this is the lowest point that trades lower than it. So this is now our range. There we go. We wicked just below, but that is a confirmed break. So this is now a change of character. Now we need our pullback, which happens there. So this is our fractal low, and now we need to find our new fractal high. So this candle breaks that, this candle breaks that, but this doesn't break that. And this being the pullback candle trades higher. This is now our fractal range. I'm guessing we're going to get another change of character here. Yes, we do. So let's just extend that. There we go. What are we waiting for now? A pullback. There we go. That is now our fractal high. Now we need to look for our new fractal low. So this candle breaks that low. This candle breaks that high, this high, this high. This doesn't break this high. Therefore, this would be our low. But because this candle trades lower, the fractal low stays in the same place. So we literally have a minute left on our live stream. So I really hope you guys got as much notes as you can from this. And yes, everything will be edited, stitched together, because we do have now 4 parts of the live stream, and everything will be uploaded. So I really hope you guys learned as much as you can. And again, you will have more opportunities to learn from this, because again, it will be uploaded onto YouTube for you guys to watch. One more live stream at the end. If you guys want to join, I will be doing a top-down analysis of GBP/AUD. But with that being said, this is now the 3 Musketeers of structure completed. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Have a good night, guys.